controversial new road rules designed to keep cyclists safe are going to come into effect later on this week.
Previously, road positioning of cyclists was not mentioned at all in the Highway Code, but now, under new rules, cyclists are advised to ride in the middle of the road. I think that's actually the middle of the lane rather than the middle of the road, isn't it? I think the middle of the road would be quite risky. Middle of the lane, which seems more sensible.
Motorists have always been told to give cyclists plenty of room when overtaking, but from Saturday, drivers are told to leave a distance of at least 1.5 metres.
Cars have always had priority over pedestrians at junctions, but now drivers and cyclists about to turn must give way to pedestrians crossing or waiting to cross.
And while motorists were previously advised to check for cyclists or other traffic when opening car doors, under the new rules, drivers could actually be fined up to £1,000 for not using the arm furthest away from the door to open it.
That's all clear. It's all clear.
So you've got to twist in your seat in order to open the door because that forces you to look behind you.
I wonder how many million drivers will need to restudy the Highway Code
and how it will
to
be
learn
checked.
these new rules.
Are these new rules necessary to encourage cycling and improve road safety? Or will they just end up provoking more tension between drivers and cyclists on the road?
To get some clarity, to understand what this all means, we're joined now by Tony Doyle, double world pursuit champion, former president of the British Cycling Federation, who says the new rules are needed as motorists don't respect cyclists, and by broadcaster Mike Graham, who says the new rules are totally mad and that we already have enough rules to protect cyclists.
And our reporter Lorna is out and about just cycling for us.
In the middle of the road?
Well, hopefully in the middle of a lane.
I think that would be more sensible, according to the Highway Code.
So, I beg your pardon, let's then put these questions to the guests. Tony Doyle, will this make things safer?
Yeah, and I mean, I think you've misunderstood the proposal and what the rules are. They're not telling cyclists to ride in the middle of the road. They just say when a cyclist is approaching a junction or when the road is very narrow, that's when they should be in the middle of the road. So under normal circumstances, they're not to be in the middle of the road. It's just that some people have seen it as an opportunity to attack cyclists and to attack other road users.
What is it like at the moment being a cyclist on our roads?
I mean, generally, it's better now than when I was a youngster myself, because now we've got more and more people who cycle. More of the drivers actually ride a bike a weekend or ride a bike in the nice weather. And so, you know, compared to maybe, 30, 40 years ago, I think the roads are a little bit safer, even though there's more traffic. But of course, the trouble is that people tend to leave everything to the last minute and they dash around, and we all need to just calm down and be a little bit respectful of all road users and all pedestrians.
Do you get into arguments with car drivers?
Not generally, no. I'm respectful, and the vast majority of cyclists, the vast majority of drivers, whatever vehicle they're in, they obey the rules of the road, and they look out for pedestrians, they look out for cyclists.
OK, so if it's safer, Tony, if it's safer and you think things are getting better and you generally have good relations with motorists, what's the need for the change to the code?
Well, one of the problems there is when you're cycling is that motorists don't allow enough room when they do overtake. So motorists just need to slow down and give you more space when they do go past you and not cut in on you as soon as they've gone past. So it's common sense, really. We just need to be more courteous of other road users.
So, Mike, did I misinterpret you when I said in the link that you think this is totally mad?
No, you're absolutely right. It is completely mad because, unfortunately, he's right, Tony. Most people behave well. Most people who drive cars don't hate cyclists. Most cyclists don't hate car drivers. But the problem with these new rules is that it creates an awful lot of doubt for people. So, for example, I spoke to a lawyer about this yesterday, and apparently if you're on a roundabout in a car and a cyclist wants to come onto the roundabout from one of the entrances, you have to stop in the middle of the roundabout and let the cyclist out. Now, that surely is a recipe for disaster. And Tony's not entirely right to say that you're not recommended to ride in the middle of the lane, because actually they've said cyclists should, if they wish to, cycle 2, maybe 3 abreast, slowly in front of cars, which will slow cars down. And let's not forget, we've spent tens of millions of pounds, hundreds of millions probably, creating cycle lanes for cyclists to be able to ride safely in lots of parts of the country. They're now saying they want room back on the rest of the road that we're all squeezed onto. And that's why people are rushing around so much, because congestion has actually increased as a result of this kind of mad dash to turn everybody into a cyclist.
The thing which is missing in this is talking about pedestrians. I mean, too many cyclists get hurt on the road. We should tighten up cyclist safety. But if you're a pedestrian on the roads these days, you've got cyclists on the pavement, you've got cyclists going through red lights, you've got these e-scooters. I mean, isn't it time that we spoke up for pedestrians too?
Mike?
Well, yeah, well, I think so, because one of the things that I find, certainly in London, I don't know other cities quite so well, but in London you've got roads where you've got cars coming one way, you've got cycle lanes going the opposite way, you've got traffic lights all over the place for cyclists, traffic lights for pedestrians. Nobody knows who's got the right of way, nobody knows when to step off or which way to look.
Yeah.
All right, Mike Graham,
The good thing is, I think we've got the Transport Secretary coming on now to explain all this.
Tony Doyle, thanks very much indeed.